From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of evenings, LA, with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022, as no less than 3 checks have now landed. A fourth stimulus check has landed in people's bank accounts. $6,500 made law on March 31st. A $15,000 to $80,000 check has landed and made law on March 4th. And then an MSC check, oh baby, has been landing since 2021, averaged $2,000 a month for 12 months. I'm going to show you how to get these incredible checks in today's recording by becoming a member. But first, we have a lot of breaking news today. As the Build Back Better Act heats up, and we have a lot of comments from Fed governors today for April 6, 2022. Whether it's Brainard, whether it's Daly, or whether it's Powell, the comment is, inflation is too high, interest rates need to solve the situation. But what does that mean for Build Back Better Act? It's good news because the indication is that the economy is missing. It's short-circuiting right now and more push to get that Build Back Better Act passed. All the latest details in tonight's big recording for April 6, 2022. Then we looked at that SS300 because guess what? You want to lock in that inflation rate when it's higher before that interest rates bring it lower. Now the latest details on that front tonight. Then we turn to the developing details of 6 stimulus to battle recession. What happened with Germany as Germany signals it may stay on those Russian products, including oil, OMG. But what does that mean for the 6 stimulus trifecta of Germany, France, and the United States? I have the latest details in tonight's broadcast for April 6th. Then we'll be turning back to student loan debt forgiveness. That is 7 stimulus, and it's just days away. May 2nd, we're going to learn whether the president forgives the student loan debt or does not. But it's a big night with a lot of other checks. We're going to go over that Build Back Better Act checks. Then we'll be going over the 6 stimulus checks. We'll be going over the 7 stimulus forgiveness of student loan debt May 2nd. And then we're going to start with those big checks that viewers have gotten. It's live, it's landed, and they have been sent out by Joe Biden. $6,500, $15,000 to $80,000, and $2,000. How do you get those big checks? You tune in to Evenings LA, America's most watched show in financial news in prime time, and the excitement starts right here on Evenings. And good evening, everybody. For April 5th, 2022, a lot of breaking news, a big night, and a big element of lots of checks. No less than 3 checks have landed. I'm going to show you how to get these big checks late in this recording. $6,500, $80,000, and $24,000. But we have a big day of a lot of major developing news as your Fed Governor Brainard says, inflation, yes, we need to be more aggressive on those interest rates. I'll have the latest details on that and why we're going into recession. Then we'll have the latest details on how that impacts Build Back Better Act and your SS300. Meantime, true changing, developing details by the hour and by the day on that student loan debt forgiveness, that's 7 stimulus, and also the developing details on that alliance of France, Germany, and the United States for 6 stimulus. What's going on with the wheat, grain, soybean, corn, and oil front tonight? A lot of major twists and turns. And of course, we'll go over all the economic data that imploded from that. A big night, and at the very end of this video, we have a lot of surprises, so stay to the very end. Lots of checks tonight across the board. But the situation tonight for Build Back Better bill is that it's going to get better, as the president is going to get it ready for a vote in the next few days or weeks with lots of checks in there, and those big checks continue to surprise us. Why? Because the president's taking some of the checks out and making them law. Let's look at which of the checks are still in there and which have come out as of tonight's recording. Build Back Better Act is a 4 stimulus recon that's currently in the Senate. It has at least $15,000 of checks in there. Upwards of 80,000 across 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Let's look at them right now. In that first cluster, has to pay 1 more year the earned income tax credit for my essential workers. $4,000 of elder care is still in there. Good. $4,000 of care for young children. $3,600 for the young children got in there. $550 check for the college students in there as well. $12,500 for the purchase of your first electric vehicle. And then home repairs if you live in a low-income community. The first add-on of checks got in there via Maxine Waters, just a little bit less than $25,000, given to the federal government to you by the escrow lender. At the time of escrow, you will get a big check for the purchase of your first home, a little bit less than $25,000. Let's turn to that second cluster of checks. A lot of money in that second cluster. Paid leave and home repairs. What is paid leave? That is if you have to stay at home due to sickness or illness. How much money? A lot of money. It is upwards of $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 more per year. If you make $35,000 annual salary, it is $800 a week. And if you make $15,000 annual salary, it's $400 a week. W-2 1099, you get it. And it would be upwards of 4 to 6 weeks per year. So that is a lot of money. That is about $4,000 to $6,000 a year. Now that is one of the 2 items in the second cluster, but the first item has a big surprise. Home repairs to weatherize your home has been removed. Shocker. The President of the United States sat back last week and looked at Build Back Better and said, I'm taking it out. It's out. And it became law. The home weatherizing your home grant check from the second cluster is now out, and it is now law. And it is paying viewers this channel now. It is check number A of that A, B, and C. $6,500 check became law by executive order by the President of the United States, taking it out of the Build Back Better Act on March 31st. How do you get this big check? Stay with me. It's coming up later in this video. He also took out other items from Build Back Better. Let's see them in just a second. Let's go back into that second cluster. So home repairs out, but paid leave is still in there. When we turn to that second add-on, it checks $250 billion of home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. It's still in there. Good. There's a campaign promise from Joe Biden still in there. Then we turn to the next cluster. It checks the third cluster, big money for my seniors. In that third cluster, we have free internet for all checks, farmers checks, and then seniors gain a lot of checks. What are they? They are dental, vision, hearing checks, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, and then the Medicaid gap fix, the provider workaround plan. To those uninsured people in those 12 Republican holdout states, boy, that is great. That is the third of 3 clusters of checks in the Build Back Better Act, but the third add-on, you know what it is. MSC, monthly IRS stimulus check. These are checks that would be sent out from IRS to you on a monthly basis. Who gets it? Legislators represent that if you got a third, you get a fourth the same way. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. Double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security or rural benefits, or an adult dependent, you get as well. It's not income. It's not taxable. It's sent out via IRS to the direct deposit on file on that tax return. Don't have a tax return, then by mail. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter represents the legislators. And that is up to 6 months. There you go. That is an MSC, $2,000 a month, $1,000 thereafter for 6 months. But something actually better than that. Better than that? Better than Build Back Better? Yes. The President of the United States making better by taking provisions out of Build Back Better and making them a law. A and B, baby. Oh, yes. The President of the United States took the weatherizing grant check out of the second cluster on March 31st, 2022, and made it a law. How do you get this check? It's coming up in just a second. A $6,500 check has been a law for stimulus since March 31st. Then, B, the president taking a $15,000 to $80,000 check out of Build Back Better, making it better by making it a law. So you won't have to wait around for Congress. It became law on March 4th. Viewers have gotten this check. It's landed. These checks are actually in people's hands. How do you get this check? It's coming up in just a second. I'll explain to you how. Then, an MSC check, that's C. It's better than Build Back Better. By why? Because Build Back Better proposes 6 months of checks. Viewers on average are getting 12 months of checks under C. Yes, we're doing better on this channel than Build Back Better, and it's all because of the changing news by the minute. Now, also big news tonight is the developing details about this economy. We're going to go over what's going on with SS300 first, and then we'll go over the breaking news that impacts your SS300 and the Build Back Better Act. SS300 was the President Joe Biden's campaign promise and then platform as president at joebiden.com to swap your COLA for inflation. By swapping your COLA for inflation, you lock in the highest price point of inflation of a generation. If it's done now, if you wait too long, it's not as beneficial. So where is that inflation? It came in December, as I predicted all last year, at 8%. Jay Powell had it wrong. He said it was going to be 1 to 2% temporary. I said no, 8%, not temporary. January, 8%. February, 8%. Right now, potentially higher than 8%, as the bond trades continue to trade up the 10-year Treasury note based upon this changing dichotomy. You want Joe Biden to make that swap to from COLA to inflation right today, when inflation is at 8%, because you would lock in $200 more per month, not just this month, not just this year, but a lifetime. Yes, because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Then you have to hope that inflation tracks at about 4% in December. If it does, you get another $100 per month, lifetime then. But what has Jay Powell changed? What has happened tonight about the Fed and the Fed governors? And why does that give major developing details for your Build Back Better Act and your SS300? Let's go over the details breaking tonight for April 5th, 2022. Number one, stimulus is done when governors and legislators and presidents think that the economy is missing, meaning the economic data is not as strong, meaning the economy is not as robust as many people thought it was. And how do you see that? You see it in economic reports when there's a miss. What's an example of a miss? People are expecting, for example, the economy to grow to 10% on a Monday, and then the data comes in, it came in at 5% growth. That's a miss. What's a beat? If they said 10% growth and it came in at 20% growth, that's a big beat. So what was the economic data today? What was the breaking news today? A lot of it. First, the economic data has been miss after miss after miss over the last 24 hours and over the last week. And today, Lael Brainard, the Fed governor under Jay Powell, gave us guidance that I had predicted all last weekend. It came in exactly as I predicted. So let's go over Brainard's comments right now. This is breaking news for April 5th, 2022. The Fed governor under Jay Powell, said exactly what I said Brainard would say, which is that Powell was too weak. We were too weak as a Fed group, and we should have come in more aggressively in March. They did quarter basis point. Since then, Powell, Brainard, also Wallace, and also other governors have said we need to do half basis point, potentially over several meetings. So the comments from Brainard today may have been a surprise to other people, but not to the viewers of the channel. Inflation is much too high and is subject to upside risk. And that sent the stock market in a downturn, a major downturn today, as much as 400 points down at one point, because they thought that means much more aggressiveness by the Fed. But I already told you that my analysis and Wall Street analysis last week said that the Fed will come in a lot more aggressively. My prediction, 2 half a basis point increases consecutively from the Federal Reserve in the next 2 FOMC meetings. Ouch. So that is not 8% inflation after that. That's potentially 6% inflation or lower. That's why Joe Biden needs to make that swap from COLA to inflation right tonight, not to wait across the board. Now, here's what's also at issue tonight is that the other economic data that came in the last few hours and the last few days continued to be misses. Let's go over the breaking news about the other economic data tonight that signals that Build Back Better Act may go faster and that SS300 may actually go slower, which is what you wanted to do. You want that swap for COLA and inflation to happen faster and Jay Powell to move slower. What are the breaking details tonight? First, the mortgage industry surged. The 30-year fixed mortgage crossed 5% tonight for the first time since 2011. That is out of control. How fast has that grown? The 30-year fixed mortgage rate was 3.38% a year ago today. And tonight, it's at 5.02%. That comes at that Fed Reserve Vice Chair Lael Brainard says that Fed governors should reduce the balance sheets immediately. We're moving too slowly. At this point, traders are taking Brainard's comments to foreshadow an extremely unfriendly environment for bonds in the immediate future, said analyst Matthew Graynard, CEO, Chief Operating Officer of Mortgage News Daily tonight. The comments from Brainard signaled major switches, and that as the dovish Fed member usually would not have said something like, shrink the balance sheet rapidly. That was the comment tonight. The comments continue to be big misses. Whether it's economics yesterday or economics the day before, let's look at the big misses that have happened in the last 7 days. First, the GDP number missed, 6.9%. Wall Street's looking for 7.1%. Then, the number of non-payroll jobs generated in the month of March, major miss in that number on Friday by nearly 60,000. Thursday, major miss for the unemployment numbers. The unemployment numbers surging with 200,000 new unemployment claims on Thursday. Also on Friday, the new unemployment number was worse than expected. They expected a major drop of unemployment, only dropped a certain small percentage. Then look at housing numbers. Last Wednesday, 4 consecutive months of housing starts down, as labor costs, supply chain costs, the repairs and the new home starts to be even more severe and more economically unfeasible. This is as those job reports and those mortgage numbers today continue to swirl in the negative direction. Takeaway is that, one, if all this economic data is so weak, then there's more reason to get Build Back Better Act passed faster because the economy is stalling up. Number two, that if the Fed sees this economic data as a miss and a continual miss, then it's likely to do those 2.5 basis point raises and then stop because they're coming in too aggressively. Later in this video, you're going to see my analysis as I predict that the U.S. economy is already with 2 industries in recession tonight. And tonight, the first U.S. bank says we are going into recession. Exactly when I say we're going into complete 100% recession. But will those Fed governors pull back? I believe they will. I don't believe they're going to reach that 4% interest, that 1.9% interest rate later this year. I think they'll get to 4%, which is good for your SS100, another $100 later this year. Meantime, big news, lots of news, as this channel has been tracking every check that is available and cashing it for you. And tonight, 3 checks are available to cash. Huge news. The first 2 are from 4 stimulus, and the third is a revising a 3rd stimulus. They're big checks, and they're bigger than anything that Build Back Better Act had by itself. Let's look at a preview of those big checks coming up in the second half of this video and where they came from. They are a big $6,500 check became a law by the President of the United States no less than a week ago. That $6,500 check is huge and was supposed to be in Build Back Better Act, but has been removed. I'll go over how to get that incredible check, A, in just a second. And then B, a second check has now landed as well, $15,000, $80,000. Viewers have gotten this check. That's in their wallet tonight. I'll show you how to get this big check. Then when you look at those MSC checks, they're paying out from 3rd stimulus, averaging about $45,000, but $2,000 a month. Folks, this is more months than Build Back Better Act would ever propose. It's better than Build Back. It's 12 months on average. Viewers are getting them. How do you get these big checks? Get your pen and paper ready. They're coming up in the second half of this video. Also coming up in the second half of this video is the important details of what a member delivers with Incredible Newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be going over that student loan debt forgiveness. It's May 2nd, just a few days away. That May 2nd could potentially have $50,000 of student loan debt forgiven. Then we'll be looking at what's going on with Germany, France, and the United States with that getting off of Russian products. Is Germany pivoting the wrong way? And what is the White House doing on oil, wheat, and grain? What is the White House doing with that potential default by Vladimir Putin of those $2 billion principal repayments due tonight? I have the latest details on that front as well. Then we'll be looking at where is this economy going and why is it important for you to know what your money is worth before it becomes potentially devalued, not because of inflation, but because of a recession. That's coming up in the second half of this video. But first, get a pen and paper ready. We got 3 big checks coming up for you later in this video and a big surprise. Stay with me. First, here's a little bit about the community page. If you need help with any of these questions, reach out to the member community page, and I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as a big Evenings LALATE continues for April 5th, 2022.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues in a big evenings LA tonight for April 5th, 2022. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, we'll be going over the latest developing details of that sixth stimulus that impacts your oil, wheat, grain, and soybeans. Plus, we'll be going over what's going on with that student loan debt forgiveness of that seventh stimulus. What is happening with the SSI reform for seniors and people who are veterans. That is your big fifth stimulus. And then we'll be looking back to fourth stimulus. We have breaking developing details on Build Back Better Act tonight. A lot of details, a huge second half. Stay with me, but first, let's get to some checks. We got more checks later in this video. Stay to the very end. All right, here we go. 3 checks became a law in the last few days, and viewers have gotten these checks. They're landing, and I want to show you how to get them. A, B, and C. First, what's important to know is across A, B, and C, if you are a viewer of this channel, you qualify for one or all 3. It's huge. We're going to go over the overview of all 3 checks first, and then go over each check individually. Get your pen and paper ready. Here we go. A $6,500 check became a law March 31st, 2022, when the President of the United States took this check out of Build Back Better Act and made it better himself by making it a law. It has been paying out viewers of this channel. It is nationwide, and I'm going to show you how to get that check in just a second. The second check, B, became a law by Joe Biden on March 4th. Again, once again, it was in Build Back Better Act. He made it better by taking it out and making it a law. You don't have to wait for the Congress to vote on this. This is done by executive authority of Joe Biden. Average payout that viewers have gotten is $66,000, $80,000. It is landed. Then the third check, C, is an MSC check. But it's not a Build Back Better MSC check. This is a third stimulus MSC check. And it's actually better than Build Back, which only proposes 6 months. The average viewer of the channel is getting 12 months. Build Back proposes $7,000. This proposes upwards of $24,000. And viewers have gotten somewhere on average $45,000. Many have gotten over $150,000. All right, with that introduction, let's go over each check slowly, one at a time. Get your pen and paper ready. Here we go. Check A. Let's look at check A first. How much is it? It is a $6,500 check, but many states are paying a lot more. They're paying upwards of $12,000. Great news. Number 2, where'd it come from? It came from fourth stimulus. It is a law. It is law. This fourth stimulus check was law, became law by Joe Biden, who took it out of Build Back Better and did it by executive branch. Number 3, what is it called? It's called the Weatherizing Homeowners Grant Check. It's huge. Then, what is the income qualification? You qualify for it. If you qualify for a third stimulus check, you qualify for this. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits like a senior on Social Security or a veteran on VA benefits, you can get as well. What is the last qualification? That you own your home. Huge. Is fourth stimulus law? This is law. This is law. And what's important to understand is that you don't want to overanalyze or overthink the words weatherizing or home. Just apply. For example, concerned whether it's a mobile home or not a mobile home, just go to the application and get it in. If you don't qualify, it'll tell you. Concerned about the word weatherizing? What does it involve? Don't overthink it either. Just apply. Every time you think about it, thousands of people get in a line in front of you and you don't get the check. For example, in California, we don't have tornadoes. And for example, in Kansas, they don't have surf. So you may not have surf weatherization in Kansas, and you may not have tornado weatherization in Southern California. So don't worry about simple words. Just get your application on file. All right, let's go over how you get that application on file. Right now, we're going back to that check A. The way you get this big check is you become a member. Become a member. The link is at the top of the chat and in the pinned comments description of this video. Become a Purple Hawk member, Purple Power member, or Calcino VIP member. That will get you the membership newsletter delivered to you Monday through Friday. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central. Delivered via the YouTube alerts. To find A in that membership newsletter, it's right at the top. The first few lines of the membership newsletter will be the price of oil, wheat, grain, and soybean tonight. And then right after that, the weatherizing homeowners grant check. It'll give a description. Then it'll give you a link. Yes, this is an online application. Yes, you want to click the link. It'll send you into a national website. From there, you choose your state. Let's say Alabama. And then you choose the Alabama weatherizing homeowners grant link in the website. It actually says that. Like it says the Mississippi weatherizing homeowners grant check. Click it and apply online and you're ready to get funded. It's as simple as that. So become a member. Get this $6,500 check right today. Let's go to that second check, $15,000 to $80,000. It became law March 4th. So this has been law for about 5 weeks. Don't let this slip away. Every day that passes you don't become a member, then every day you don't get a newsletter. Every day you don't get a newsletter. Every day you don't get your application on file. And every day you don't get your application on file, thousands of people in the state in front of you apply and get the money before you. So don't wait to get check B. Let's go over check B right now. What is it? It looks like A, but it's different. First, the amount is a lot more. It's $15,000 to $80,000, where A was only $6,500. Number two, it's also a forced stimulus check. Joe Biden made a law. He took it out of the forced stimulus and he made it law. What is it called? The name is a little bit similar as well. This is called the homeowners grant for purposes of this video. The first check, A, was called the homeowners weatherizing grant check. The income qualification is the same. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits like Social Security or veterans benefits and you own a home, you can get it. Yes, A and B are for homeowners, and so is C, but C is for renters. So if you're a renter, stay with me because your C check is coming up next. So what do you do to get this check in your hand? Check B. First, you become a member. Then you open the membership newsletter. You go down. The first lines will have the A check, $6,500 weatherizing homeowners grant check. And right below that, you'll see this number, $15,000 to $80,000 homeowners grant check. It's actually a longer name. Click the link. It'll send you into the website. It also provides you details about what the money's paid for. Great stuff like home repairs, a lot more than just the weatherizing check. Then in the federal website, you'll click the link that sends you to your state, like Tennessee, and you will then apply. You will apply, and you will get funded within about a week. Average view of the channel is getting about $65,000 to $80,000. That is A and B. Recap, A and B are for homeowners. Now, what about C? C is for everyone. It is for homeowners and renters. And what is it? It's an MSC, baby. It is not the fourth stimulus MSC. It's a third stimulus MSC. And it operates differently than A and B, which involved going to websites. C involves going to your cell phone and picking it up and making a call. Let's go over C right now. What is it? It's a monthly stimulus check. The average view of the channel is getting 12 months at about $2,000 a month for checks. A lot more than Build Back Better Act proposed with their 6 checks. Many viewers are getting on an average $45,000. A lot of viewers have gotten over $150,000 when this become a law. In early 2021, yes, this is a third stimulus check. So what is the qualification income-wise? The same as third stimulus. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you got a stimulus check from third stimulus of $1,400, you can get this as well. Remember, if you're a homeowner, you can get A, B, and C. And if you're just a renter, you can get C. So where do you get the money for C? You want to become a member because you're going to get more options of where to call. But if you're not a member, let's go over the 6 places that you call to get these checks. Are you ready? I'm ready. You're going to reach out to the following 6 places. They are, first starting with your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, and your county housing authority, your state hall, and your state housing authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Stop the graphic right there. First, you don't say MSC. They won't understand you. You say these key words. Number 2, all 6 places exist. Every state has a state hall. Every state has a state housing authority. So you reach out to all of those 6 places. Now, if you're a member, you're going to have more than 6 places to reach out to. Let's look at that detail right now. Reach out to all 6 places and then put multiple application file and then get as many months as possible. It's important to become a member. Why? Here we go. It's important to become a member because in the membership newsletter, you not only have the 6 places repeated back to you, you got an additional approximately other 6 places. Yes, nearly a dozen to a dozen and a half places. What are those extra places? The nonprofits, baby. The nonprofits who have been paying money in Alabama, Mississippi, difficult states since the start of the pandemic, they pay money nationwide. And who are those nonprofits? They're featured in the newsletter. That's why you want to become a member. Lean on those nonprofits because they even do nominal home repairs. They do small appliances like furnaces and small air conditioners. Rely on those nonprofits to get those big sums of money today and get this money. Average view of this channel from this third stimulus has averaged about $45,000. Many viewers have gotten over $150,000. Get these big sums of money today. Do not wait. Push because this is great news. Let's recap those 3 checks. But first, remember you have to become a member. Get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday. Let's recap those 3 checks. First, a $6,500 weatherizing homeowners grant check became law March 31st. And it is huge. You become a member, you click the link, and you go right in and apply. Number 2, a B check. Also for homeowners, $15,000 to $80,000 became live March 4th. Also a website, you go in, you click, you apply, and you get funded. And then C involves picking up the phone calling for those MSC checks. Big sums of money. Now, are you a member? You need to become a member to get these 3 checks because they're all detailed very clearly in the membership newsletter. First, become a member. The link is at the top of the chat, in the pinned comment under the video, and in the description of the video. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP member. Then watch for that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central. Delivered via the YouTube alerts. If you got an alert from YouTube about this video, then you know the YouTube alerts. Not sent by Waveable Check, Waveable Lobster, email, or sent by Smoke Signal. It's sent via the YouTube alerts. Become a member today to get that incredible newsletter. Remember, the newsletter is designed around you. So when a new check becomes live, I immediately feature that check the hour it's announced by the White House, as I did with the March 31st check. As soon as it became live, it went to the newsletter on the 31st. As soon as the $15,080 became live on the 4th, it went to the newsletter. That is why we pounce as a Purple Hawks, because the checks are first come, first serve. You want to pounce and get those big sums of money. Tonight, a lot of breaking developing details about recession, about 6 stimulus, and about that student loan debt forgiveness. But first, let's go over where that big issue is tonight for this stimulus. This stimulus is your SSI, SSDI reform. They don't currently have a bill, but they would need a bill if they're going to forgive or get rid of the marriage penalty, the asset cap, or the income cap. That is not why they need a recon for fifth stimulus. They can do the $200 or $300 more per month by just swapping out COLA for inflation. Meantime, what's the update on 7 stimulus? A lot of developing details tonight. Number 1, this is student loan debt forgiveness again. President has 3 opportunities. Number 1, the president can on May 2nd say, your student loan debts have been frozen since the start of the pandemic. Now start paying them back. I'm not going to forgive any of your debt. Will he do that? I don't think he will. So I think option number 1 is out. Option number 2 is that he would say, I know there's an issue about maybe forgiving some student loan debt, but I need a little bit more time to research it. For now, I'm not going to have you repay any debts at the moment. We're going to roll over the date at for another month or 2 months. What is that date? Since the start of the pandemic, your debts have not had to be repaid. They're on moratorium or frozen. And that frozen date becomes unfrozen on May 2nd. The third opportunity is the President of the United States says, I'm not going to unfreeze anything. I'm just going to forgive your student loan debt. Why do I think that option C will happen? Because Joe Biden is getting a major push from guys and gals he worked with to make this law in Obama-Biden's administration. Let's go over the details tonight. The former education secretary under Obama-Biden said Joe knows he can forgive student loan debt by executive action. We made a law under Barack, and Biden knows that. So, that guy that Biden worked with says that Biden can forgive the student loan debt by executive order right today. It gets even fancier than that. When that education secretary under Barack says there's not enough Republican senators to undo any forgiveness. Just go forgive it and then sit back because there won't be enough Republican senators to undo the forgiveness of student loan debt. Wow, that's huge news tonight across the board. Now, let's go back to Build Back Better Act. Let's go back to SS 300, which will segue us into six stimulus. And let's understand the economic data that came in today, folks, because this is the start of the pivot. Where? Not here. I've been reporting this for over a month. I've been reporting for over a month that the U.S. economy is already in recession with two industries, housing and auto, and that the rest of the U.S. economy would be in recession in 2023 for 2 years. Tonight, my reporting is confirmed by the first U.S. Wall Street bank, Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank in a statement today says that the U.S. economy will be going into recession for 2 years. And it said said earlier today, April 5th, 2022, that it's forecasting a U.S. recession. Again, that's the first U.S. bank to do that, but I said it to you over a month ago. The U.S. economy is expected to take a major hit from the extra Fed tightening. That's the higher interest rates. By late next year and early 2024, we see 2 negative quarters of growth and more than a 1.5% rise of unemployment rate develops that clearly qualifies a recession, a bit a moderate one. Do I agree on that analysis? Somewhat. Number one, I agree that there will be a surge of unemployment. Number two, I believe that we will see negative quarters of growth. In fact, I think that the entire year will be negative quarters of growth. I think the stock market will be down for the year. But I disagree when it says that we're going to recession by late 2024. No. I think we're going to recession in early 2023 and we're coming out by 2024. So I see the recession already upon us and growing incredibly across the board. That is how the day started. We also had Brainard with those comments that says the U.S. government and the U.S. economy needs a much more rapid increase of interest rates to battle recession. Here tonight, folks, the situation continues to unravel, as I said over the last month. The Fed is going to send us in recession because you don't get your cake and eat it too. If you raise those interest rates as aggressively as the Federal Reserve is saying, we're going into recession for 2 years. And that's just what Deutsche Bank just said. I believe that the Federal Reserve will do 2 interest rate spikes of half basis point in the next 2 FOMC meetings, and that will be enough to send us into recession. I don't think they're getting us to 4% to 1.9% inflation later this year. I think they're going to stall up, and they're going to stall up and go to 4%. Good news for your SS 300. But we see bad data every hour of every day for the last 2 weeks on this channel. The mortgage rate tonight, 5.02%. Folks, this is out of control. This was 3.38% a year ago. No one's going to be able to afford a home at 5.02%. Every day, the number keeps on going up. Matthew Granard, Chief Operating Officer of Mortgage Daily, says at this point, this shows an unfriendly environment for bond buying in the immediate future. Mike Wilson, who is a market analyst at Morgan Stanley, says we see a decline of the U.S. stock market, specifically S&P, 13% down between now in April and September. Down 13% between now and September. That's just a short period of time, folks. That's huge. That's even more downturning than I am predicting. I'm predicting the U.S. markets are going to be all down by the end of the year. for year to date. But here's Morgan Stanley's Wilson saying we're falling 13% in just a few months between now and September. Wow. The Nasdaq is running into resistance again, looking at 200 moving average. It's time to be defensive. We don't think there's going to be a recession this year, says Wilson, but next year there could be one. You need to be trading defensively. Wow. Why is this data so important? This data is so important because so much data by the hour, by the week has been economically negative or missing. The yield on the 2-year Treasury note climbed 4 basis points today again, out of control, 2.469%, while the 10-year Treasury yield continues to be lower. Again, this is the inversion curve. When longer notes have less of a yield than shorter notes, you go to the bank, you want to put money away for 60 years, it should get more money, interest rates, than 6 months in the bank. Not at the moment. It's inverted, and every time it inverts, we go into recession. There you go. So what is Joe Biden doing then with 6 stimulus? It's all about recession, folks. 6 stimulus is all about recession. And we now see enough analysts, including myself, saying that Jay Powell's sending us recession because he's going to choose lower inflation over recession. Folks, you don't make that choice. You live with higher inflation. You don't choose recession. So what is going on then tonight with 6 stimulus? First, what is 6 stimulus? Then, where is it? And then, what is the president doing and not doing? 6 stimulus was the allegiance of the progressive allies of France, Germany, and the United States to battle Vladimir Putin. Why? Vladimir Putin is sending the U.S. economy into recession and our world allies because of supply chain shortages of wheat, grain, oil, and other issues. And tonight, the situation is not better than it was last night. In fact, it's potentially worse. What's at issue? You have to solve the problem of a supply chain shortage of oil, a supply chain shortage of wheat, and a supply chain shortage of anything else that's caused by Putin, not only domestically in the United States, but internationally for our partners, or we all go into recession. So what is the White House doing on that front tonight? Let's go over each of the situations one at a time, starting with oil. What has the United States done with oil? The White House said over a week ago that it's releasing 1 million barrels of gasoline per day from the U.S. strategic reserves. What is the strategic reserves? The federal government owns gasoline barrels, and when there's a time of need, it can release gasoline barrels. So how much is the White House releasing? It's releasing 1 million barrels a day for 6 months, based upon the comments of Joe Biden last week saying that's going to bring down your price of gasoline at the pump. True or false? False. Very false. That's not the way it works. Gasoline is a commodity. And when there's a shortage of commodity internationally, you have to solve that situation internationally. If you got 50 countries that need oil and there's a shortage of oil across 50 countries, the price is going to stay up. If one of those 50 countries says, hi, I have some extra oil, I'm going to release some. Guess what? The price doesn't go down internationally or domestically because you got to flood the market to replace the shortage across all 50 countries, not just yours. Now, Joe Biden might have known that because during that press conference, he said, the Western allies have agreed with me to also release their strategic reserves to bring down the price of gasoline. True or false? Also false. The Western allies don't have the strategic reserves the United States have. In some cases, they don't even have any reserves. Italy, they don't have oil wells in the ground. They have olive oil wells. They have no strategic reserves. Countries like Germany, the reason why they're knocking off of Russian oil, because if they got off of Russian oil and had strategic, let's say this another way. If Germany had strategic reserves and could get off of Russian oil to use its strategic reserves, they would do that. They don't have those strategic reserves. And that's the issue tonight, is that the White House misguided on that front as well. So what is the takeaway on both fronts tonight? The takeaway is that the White House does not have a situation solving oil. Troubling was that the White House did have a deal, and that deal seemed to fall apart. What was that deal? The White House had been negotiating the JCPO agreement for many, many weeks with Iran that would solve the oil situation. What would JCPOA give us and our partner allies? 1.5 million barrels of gasoline by December every day. 1 million barrels potentially this month. Flooding U.S. and international markets of gasoline like you've never seen and bringing down the price of gasoline to its levels of a generation, the lowest we've seen of a generation. So what happened with that deal? Well, here's what's going on. The negotiations were between the United States and Germany in Vienna. The negotiators were Germany and France on behalf of the United States. And then we were told there was a deal over a week ago. And that it was just within seconds of being signed. And then the President of the United States appears in the White House saying, I got some oil to bring down the gasoline prices for you. I thought he was going to announce Iran. He does not even mention Iran. Why? If you want the answer, it didn't come from the White House. If you want the answer, I had the answer. In fact, I had to search for the answer. It was buried in international news in an Oil Digest story in which they asked whatever happened to the JCPO negotiations. The analysis was given by the individual involved close to the negotiations. And that statement by that executive is that it looked close, but no dance at the pony ride. That comment came from one individual close to the oil situation saying, we're close, but no deal. And when every time you get close, you think you have a deal, and then you don't. The takeaway is that the Iranian deal was years in the making, removing those nuclear warheads, then flooding international markets with oil, flooding those markets with international oil, bringing down the price of gasoline at the pump, and bringing it back down to the 90s for that international Brent crude price. Tonight, the price is hovering at 104. It was even higher earlier today. Oil traders understand that Joe Biden's approach is not working. Now, what's also not working? What's also not working is that those domestic Western allies, like Germany, are knocking off of Russian oil. So we're going to offer Russian oil, they aren't, and everyone's still dependent on Russian oil. Big miss there, double miss. Anthony Blinken, your Secretary of State, appeared on broadcast news last Sunday, said win-win-win for the White House, miss on oil on many fronts. Now, is there a win by the White House on the wheat and grain situation? No, that's actually even worse. When you look at the wheat and grain situation, that is a major commodity at issue. The vast majority of all wheat and grain servicing the Middle East and Asia comes from the Ukrainian-Russian area, where the battle will continue for weeks, if not months to come. That is that Odessa area. That is that Eastern Shore. That is that Black Sea region where Vladimir Putin is focusing his attention. He's not focusing his attention on just one issue. There's a lot of issues. He knows he can disrupt international world markets across the board because they're so dependent on that wheat and grain. For example, Egypt gets 80% of its grains from that area. And tonight, there's no solution lined up. So if no solution lined up, what's going to happen? Your price of bread at the supermarket is already high, at 10-year highs featured in that membership newsletter nightly. But that high is not over. Because to drive that truck to harvest the wheat, you got to have oil. And those prices are surging out of control. To prepare the soil for next season, you got to fertilize the soil. And that's surging out of control because fertilizer comes from Vladimir Putin. Now with the supply chain costs surging oil and fertilizer, and the farmers in the United States really not making much of a profit, they're expected to raise their prices even more. This is why the White House needs the progressive alliance of Germany, France, and the United States back on path to get this done. Because if he doesn't, what happens? We all go in recession. No one in Germany or France can afford $7 a loaf, nor can you indefinitely. You may go to the supermarket tonight and say, $7, I'll deal for tonight. But if you go into May and you're still paying $7 a loaf, it ain't going to work. Same thing with the gasoline. You know what number came out this morning? Fascinating number. A number that came out this morning showed that the discount retailers like Sam's Clubs and Costco had a big jump in earnings. One analyst had it best because they're all going there for the cheaper gasoline. Ultimately, you may fill up the gas tank and see $120 a gallon, $120 to fill it up. And you may be able to live with it for a week or 2 times or 3 times. But if you're doing it to May, you're going to recession. No one can afford $100 of gasoline for one car. And a lot of households have 3 cars. Here's the part of the equation tonight that's important to understand, is that when you see a recession coming, you move and pivot accordingly. But if people are not telling you to pivot, then you're not pivoting. And that's part of the equation which is at issue tonight with the White House. The White House in the last 24 hours announced using part of the defense spending bill and ramping up the production through the authorities of the White House of electric car batteries. We're about to go in recession. We have out of control inflation. And if you look at the supply chain disruption in the auto industry, they don't even have seatbelts in electric cars now because the seatbelts are made in Ukraine. And they don't have enough seatbelts, so they're not selling cars. He's trying to ramp up production of the chip in electric vehicles. This is where the focus is really out of control. Let me tell you examples elsewhere where the focus is out of control. There's a series of comments that came in today, and the comments today are really a fascinating mixed bag. One thing that you want to know when you're looking at a recession is that you can see it coming. You can see it coming. And if you're a consumer and you see that confidence is waning, if you see that you don't have as much confidence in buying things because inflation is going out of control, then what happens? You don't buy. Now, let me go over one comment tonight, which when I read it, I had to have a laugh. Let me tell you if you have the same reaction as well. Pamela Lieben, who is the president CEO of Cochrane, which is a real estate group in New York, said, with robust sales in New York and improving prices, barring any unexpected shocks, the stellar first quarter should have everyone feeling very optimistic about the momentous year to come in the housing market in New York. Excuse me? Oh, boy. This is someone that has you on the wrong side of the equation tonight. That is where the median price of new developments of New York apartments are chopping $2.3 million, and where prices of 4 or more bedroom apartments have surged 31% in 1 year to 6.5%. So they've gone up 31% in 1 year. If that does not look like a bubble to you, that's number one. Number two, the quotes by the people asking, well, what about the mortgage rates? They're surging from 3-something% last year to a whopping 5.1%. We're not done. What are the quotes? The quotes are, it doesn't matter. Most people are paying cash. Come on. How many people have $6 million of cash sitting around to buy thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of apartments in New York? There is not tens of thousands of buyers that have $6 million of cash sitting around. That is pure bubble talk. If you've been around a bubble before, whether it's a tech bubble, the 90s, the last bubble, the recession, it's that sort of incorrect economic analysis where people say, there's tens of thousands of buyers sitting around that has $6 million of cash. They don't worry about mortgages. We're all going to have 30% increase of the housing market in New York for the rest of the year. That is pure. That Vladimir Putin could not create such narratives. And that's coming out of the housing market in New York. What's important to understand is that we tonight really do have the validation of this channel. This channel over 1 month has said we have 2 industries in recession. They are the first of many that are going to bring us into recession for 2 years. I've been saying the housing industry is currently in recession and the auto industry as well. And that by 2023, we will be in a full recession in the United States. By 2024, we'll be done with the recession. At the end of 2024 and 2025, we'll be back to normal. Tonight, we have Deutsche Bank confirming that the recession is upon us in the next few months. Their trajectory of when you enter and when you exit is a little bit different than me, but they are predicting the same thing as well. They're also predicting the same things that you should anticipate. Mary Daly, who's one of the Fed governors, like Brainard, today also spoke. And what did she say? What's better, losing your job or inflation? She said if you have out of control inflation, but you have a job, then suddenly your job's income doesn't generate that much money for you. For example, you go to the supermarket and your paycheck is the same amount of money. It's worth less money. I got what she said. But here's the problem with Daly's comments, is that if you come in too aggressively on interest rates, guess what happens to that job? You lose it. Because unemployment will surge out of control when this U.S. economy goes in recession. If you haven't seen a recession before, let me tell you what happens. Businesses contract. They immediately make less money. The U.S. economy shrinks. The stock market shrinks. The stock market's down. The housing market's down. Suddenly, assets have less value. So you want to sell your stock, you can't sell your stock. You want to sell your house, the house is worth less. You want to sell your car, you're not going to make a profit like that crazy time of 2021. Then the businesses start making less money. Then they don't want as many employees. They start laying them off. Then there's hiring freezes. You go to your county, city, state, you go to your federal employer, they have a sign on the door. Not hiring any employees, we have a hiring freeze. And then it continues to grow day after day, more pervasive. That is what a recession looks like. And when you see things today, and I'm going to go for the jokes, because they're crazy. A major story headlining news today is that Dogecoin surged out of control with major economic confidence. That was literally the title of the story. What was Dogecoin tonight? It's up 2 cents to 16 cents. Throughout much of this recording from 2022, it was, over 20 cents. Over 2021, it was a 50-cent coin. So the fact that it went up 2 cents shows that bubble-like environment. Euphoria about nothing. Euphoria that's not sustainable. People do not have $6 million in the bank to buy tens of thousands of apartments in New York, and to think that they do because that is the answer to a 5% mortgage rate that no one can afford, that is pure bubble language tonight. Here's what you need to know, is that you need to get every check that's available. When checks become live, I pounce. When they become live, I show them to you, and you pounce. That is what became the Purple Hawks on this channel. Why am I called purple? I'm called purple because I wore a lot of purple when this channel launched 2 years ago, and a lot of purple shirts, and people called me Mr. Purple. Then, throughout 2020, when people needed more money, I showed them how to make the money, and I said, you have the power, you have the purple power to get the money yourself. I'm going to show you how you have the purple power. Nightly, every person in the live chat shows their incredible success story. They had the purple power. They took the information I gave them and they went out and they applied the purple power themselves and they got the money. What does the expression Purple Hawk mean? Purple Hawk means that when money becomes live, you pounce like a hawk because money's not available indefinitely. As we go back to that 3 items of checks, A, B, and C, it's important to understand that there always is someone who says something like, you know what? I think my state's about to run out of money. My response is, I've been featuring this money on this channel for 5 weeks. Did you wait 5 weeks to get the money? That's why it's going to run out. Pounce is a Purple Hawk today because look at these checks. $6,500 check, became law on March 31st. Just don't wait till May 31st to go get it. $15,000, $80,000 checks became live on March 4th. Don't wait to May 4th. It's already been 1 month. And then $24,000 of checks became live last year. Have you got to them? Pounce and get them tonight. That is the spirit of a Purple Hawk who pounces. And that's why the members of this channel, the names mirror what they do. There are the Purple Powers who pounce and get those big checks. The Purple Hawks who get these checks as soon as they become live. And the Calcino VIPs who understand the importance of giving every check when it happens. Here's what you need to know. This economy is changing very quickly. If you've been watching this channel daily, if you've been watching our live shows overnight, you see how J-Powell has changed so much in just less than 3 weeks. Your head Federal Reserve said quarter basis point would work. Then he said it wouldn't. Then he said half. Then he said maybe more than 1/2, meaning now we hear rapidly changing the policy of the Federal Reserve. Now we hear the Federal Reserve saying we need to bring it down dramatically, very quickly. And now we have Wall Street analysts all saying what I've been saying. The Federal Reserve has it wrong. The Federal Reserve is going to bring down inflation too fast, too aggressively, and is going to give you recession. They're going to get rid of inflation, and they're going to give you recession across all industries, across all states. Remember, recession starts in geographical territories and different industries. In my opinion, currently in auto and home, and next, we'll see what will come after that. Vladimir Putin has $4 million of debt that he needs to repay as of April 4th. And we'll see tonight and tomorrow and this week whether he made those principal repayments. If he did not, guess what's next on the horizon? Yes, corporate earnings this week and next week when those banks are likely to give us guidance. If they had Russian debt, if they had Russian equities, because if they did, they're going to have to report those major losses coming on the horizon, give guidance, and that could send the U.S. economy in a bigger tailspin. Who knows that better than anyone else? Obama and Biden. That was day one of their administration to fix the housing industry. Tonight, it's important to understand that when checks are alive, get those checks. Don't wait. There may be other checks on the horizon. There may be other checks this week. There may be other checks next week. But don't wait to get any check when it becomes live. If you're a homeowner, get A, B, and C. If you're a renter, get C. And if you are a Purple Hawk, you're going to pounce. Become a member tonight. The membership link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. Get that newsletter. It comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alerts. Because guess what? When a new check becomes live, it's featured on Ease LA. And when it's featured on Ease LA, it's featured in the membership newsletter. Stay nightly with this channel on Monday through Friday. No, Monday through Sunday. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for America's most watched show for financial news in prime time, predicting the recession correctly, predicting the 8% interest rates, and predicting the inflationary numbers and the mortgage numbers as well in recent weeks. Stay with LALATE for more and throughout the night.